Hello everyone, welcome to Clavimate classes. Today our topic is biodiversity and its conservation. So the curious things about the chapter is that from microorganisms that cannot be visible to the naked eye, there are large organisms like elephants, whales, dinosaurs, etc. that have earth consists which are of abundant diverse life forms. So the biodiversity is contributed by so many factors like adaptation, variation, mutation, genetic drift, etc. And the diverse life forms are supported by the various factors which are both biotic and abiotic factors. And many of the species are endangered and hence extinct due to the altered environmental conditions and anthropogenic actions, which are definitely the man-made actions. And the need to conserve biodiversity is very important nowadays, and it is also important to prevent the loss of species. Okay, this coming to the marks weightage. This unit carries around 10 marks for board examination, and in NEET examination it is expected to carry 3% of the total questions. Okay. And next topics covered in this chapter is diversity and types, biodiversity in India, patterns of diversity, and importance of species diversity, loss of biodiversity and its causes, arguments based on conservation, and types of conservation. And first of all, what is biodiversity and what are the types of biodiversity? So, biodiversity is all the different kinds of life that we are coming across, such as we live in an area where there are different organisms, such as microorganisms, animals, plants, everything that we all together make up a biodiversity. Okay, we all work together and support each other's life. That's what is called as biodiversity. Each of these species and organisms work together in ecosystems and support life and maintain balance. So that is what meant by biodiversity. Okay. There are three types of diversities, which is first one, genetic diversity. Like there are a variety of species, right? Suppose if we consider human beings, like we differ from each other in several characters. That is due to our genetic composition, right? We might be same species. We all are Homo sapiens, right? But we do differ in several of characters. That is due to the genetic diversity we have. So that is meant by genetic diversity. And coming to the species diversity, in a community, if you observe, there are different um, there are, like, for example, here, if there is a water body available, there's a lake nearby your place. So you'll be having a very huge number of species distribution in your area. But if say if you have a lake near, far away from your place, then the population or the distribution of species in that particular area will be less, right? So that is what meant by species diversity, based depending upon the environmental conditions or the civilization, environmental conditions or civilization. Okay. This is- And coming to the ecological diversity, it defines the diversity observed among the ecosystems in a particular region. Like you can see mangroves, rainforests. These are all the ecological diversities that are available in our areas. Next, comment on biodiversity in India. So in India, there is a flora and fauna, and there are about 45,000 species of plants. Okay, and which is about 7% of world's total. Okay, and this among these 33% are endemic species. And coming to flowering plants, there are 15,000 flowering plants, or which are constitute world's total 6%, and there are 91,000 animal species. Livestock is 400 breeds of sheep, 27 cattle, and 22 of goat. And it has globally an important population of some of the Asia's rarest animals such as Bengal fox, Asiatic cheetah, and all those were also important. So this is the flora and fauna conditions of India. That is the different biodiversity of India. And classification of biodiversity in India, it is like Malayan biodiversity. It is along the densely forested areas of eastern Himalayas, along the coastal areas. So that's the name Malayan biodiversity. Ethiopian biodiversity, the arid and semi-arid regions of Rajasthan. And European biodiversity kind of is found in areas of upper Himalayas. Okay. Indian biodiversity, dense forest areas of Indian plain. So, what are the major causes of biodiversity loss? Mention some mitigation measures. There has been a great loss of biodiversity during the past few years, and this is because of several reasons. And coming to the reasons, one of the main reasons is land and sea use. As we all know, land and sea extreme usage may lead to the species extinction or threat to the species. So that is one of the reasons for the biodiversity loss and over exploitation. I mean, like this might be for anything: over usage of resources, over exploitation of the available sources, or over hunting, overfishing. All this can be included in this over exploitation, and that might be leading to the biodiversity loss. And it's climatic changes. Climatic changes may be due to the increase in temperatures, global warming, and everything. There is a huge biodiversity loss and extinction of species. And coming to pollution, obviously there is an increase in the automobile industries and everything, and there is a huge pollution nowadays. So that is important thing and important threat to the biodiversity. The next, invasive species. There are several foreign species that are being invaded, so as a pest to the crops or anything. That is a major problem that is obviously leading to the biodiversity loss. So okay, how are we gonna mitigate or control these biodiversity losses? That so we can reduce the usage of air traveling and eating less red meat, avoiding fast fashion and turning your backyard. And you can also indigenous usage of indigenous traditional knowledge is also important. I mean, that is the best way of improving the biodiversity and preventing its loss. Okay. And next, difference between in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. So in situ conservation, it means that species are conserved in their natural habitats. That means they are not taken out from their natural habitats, and they are rather preserved in their own, I mean, conserved in their own natural habitats. But whereas in ex situ, they are conserved in man-made habitats that resemble their own. And in the in situ, as the organisms are protected in the natural habitat, the natural ecosystem sustains. So here, as it is not conserved in their natural habitat, so organisms cannot be protected by natural ecosystem. So here in in situ, biolosphere are protected in wild population. The endangered species are particularly conserved. Okay, for examples for in situ conservation are wildlife sanctuaries, biosphere reserves, national parks, etc. Whereas coming to the ex situ conservation, zoological parks, botanical gardens, gene banks, etc. What are sacred groves? Do they have any role in conservation? So, sacred groves means that are woodlots of trees and have special religious importance with selected culture. Various cultures, okay, hunting and logging are usually strictly prohibited within its boundaries. So, other varieties of forest usage like honey collection, dead wood collection are sometimes allowed on a sustainable basis. NGOs work with local villages to guard such groups. Okay. I mean, some woodlots of trees have special religious importance, right? Such as for anything. I mean, those groups are to be protected. So NGOs work with the local villages to guard such groups. I mean, those are very sacred. I mean, they have some religious importance to the people. So they are treated as sacred. So they are strictly prohibited from hunting or logging of these woods. So, how does this play an important role in conservation? Is that, I mean, obviously they are the forests and all. They play the large vegetative areas rich in biodiversity. Okay, protected by the communities living around them because they have some religious importance and cultural importance. So people living around them try to protect them and conserve them. So obviously they'll be having large vegetative areas and rich in biodiversity, and they'll function as several, as sites for several valuable crops and medicinal plants. And it also helps in wildlife conservation, as so that we can conserve. We can start an insight to conservation of species. So trees during the cycle are cut just for cultural purpose, and other resource extraction is strictly forbidden. So what happens is that these are treated as sacred groves, right? So they are only used only for the cultural purposes, and usage for any other purposes is strictly forbidden. An example like scrub forest within the Thar desert of Rajasthan, maintained by the Bishnois, Mangarwani, and National Forest of Delhi, is protected by groups. Okay, so the local people living around here are the guardians. Like local guards that are going to protect these groups from losses. So coming to the summary, the world is enriched with more than 1.5 million species. India is among the 12 mega diversity countries in the world, and with 45,000 plant species and animal species, twice the number of plant species. Okay, nowadays many species are being endangered and extinct, and this biodiversity is essential for the human survival and also the ecological balance. And habitat loss, overexploitation, alien species invasion, co-extinction, all these may be the reasons for the biodiversity losses. The reason for conservation can be narrowly utilitarian, broadly utilitarian, and ethical. And conservation can be either in situ or outside. So finally, Clavimate classes are under the Clavister Academy Private Limited. It's a startup, and for any information regarding the admission and other information, please contact the given number. Thank you.